Love. It's a powerful word, isn't it? It carries so much weight, so much meaning. It evokes warmth, connection, and a sense of belonging. Love is the glue that binds us together, the force that makes us feel alive. But what happens when love goes silent? When the vibrant connection you once felt starts to fade into the background? When the person who claims to care for you suddenly seems distant, aloof, even ignoring you completely? It's like a switch has been flipped and you're left in the dark. It's a painful paradox, one that can leave you feeling confused, hurt, and utterly alone. The silence can be deafening, the absence of affection, a heavy burden. Imagine this. You're head over heels for someone. Every moment with them feels like a dream, and you can't imagine your life without them. You think they feel the same way about you. Their words, their actions, everything points to a mutual affection. Then, out of the blue, they pull back. The warmth you once felt starts to cool, and you're left wondering what changed. Their calls become less frequent. The conversations that once flowed effortlessly now feel forced, stilted. Their texts are short and clipped. The messages that once brought a smile to your face now leave you feeling empty. They seem distant, preoccupied, almost like they're trying to avoid you. The connection you cherished feels like it's slipping through your fingers. It's a gut punch, leaving you reeling and wondering what went wrong. The silence is more than just the absence of words. It's the absence of the love you once knew. This perplexing behavior, my friends, is more common than you might think. Many people experience this silent shift in their relationships. It's a defense mechanism, a way of coping with intense emotions that feel overwhelming. Sometimes the weight of love can be too much to bear. And while it might seem counterintuitive, sometimes the people who care about us the most are the ones who push us away. But why? Why would someone who loves you resort to such confusing, hurtful tactics? Why would someone who loves you resort to such confusing, hurtful tactics? The answer lies in the complexities of the human heart and mind. To understand this, we need to delve into the complex world of human psychology. It's a journey into the depths of our emotions, our fears, and our desires. The human heart is a complex organ, both literally and figuratively. We crave connection, yet we also fear vulnerability. We yearn for intimacy, but the thought of exposing our true selves can be terrifying. This internal tug-of-war can manifest in perplexing ways, particularly in our romantic relationships. Ignoring a loved one while seemingly contradictory to love can be a way of managing these conflicting emotions. It's often an unconscious response driven by deep-seated fears and insecurities. Understanding these underlying motivations is key to unraveling this perplexing behavior. Think of it like this. Imagine a hedgehog. When threatened, it curls up in a ball, its sharp spines protecting it from harm. Similarly, when people feel emotionally vulnerable, they may erect walls of silence, hoping to shield themselves from potential pain. This silent treatment, while seemingly hurtful, is often a defense mechanism, a way of guarding their hearts. They may be afraid of getting hurt, of being rejected, or of losing themselves in the intensity of their emotions. One of the most common reasons people withdraw from loved ones is fear of vulnerability. This fear can be deeply ingrained, often stemming from past experiences where opening up led to pain or rejection. When someone has been hurt before, the idea of exposing their true self again can be overwhelming. Opening up to another person, emotionally and physically, requires immense courage. It involves sharing your innermost thoughts, feelings and fears, and hoping that the other person will understand and accept you. This act of sharing can create a deep bond, but it also leaves one vulnerable to being hurt. It means exposing your true self, flaws and all, and trusting that you won't be judged or rejected. This trust is not easily given, especially for those who have faced criticism or rejection in the past. The fear of being seen as weak or unworthy can be paralyzing. For some, this level of vulnerability is terrifying. The thought of being open and honest about their feelings can trigger anxiety and fear. They might worry about being misunderstood or dismissed, which can lead to further isolation. They may have been hurt in the past, leaving them with emotional scars and a deep-seated fear of being hurt again. These scars can run deep, affecting their ability to trust others and form meaningful connections. To protect themselves, they build walls, keeping others at arm's length to avoid the risk of experiencing that pain again. These walls can take many forms, from emotional detachment to physical distance, all designed to keep their hearts safe. Imagine a child who has been repeatedly told their feelings are wrong or unimportant. This child learns that expressing emotions leads to negative consequences, so they begin to hide their true feelings. This child learns to suppress their emotions, to hide their true self behind a mask of indifference. Over time, this mask becomes a part of their identity, making it difficult for them to connect with others on a deeper level. As adults, they may struggle to express their feelings, even to those they love most. This struggle can lead to misunderstandings and conflicts in relationships, as their loved ones may not understand the depth of their fear. This fear of vulnerability can manifest in various ways. Some might become overly critical of themselves and others, while others might withdraw completely, avoiding any situation that requires emotional openness. They might downplay their feelings, avoid intimate conversations, or pretend that everything is fine when it's not. This avoidance can create a barrier between them and their loved ones, making it difficult to build genuine connections, or even pull away physically. This physical distance can be a way to protect themselves from potential hurt, but it also prevents them from experiencing the joy and fulfillment that comes from close relationships. Their silence is not a sign of disinterest, but rather a desperate attempt to protect their hearts from further pain. Understanding this can help us approach them with empathy and patience, offering a safe space for them to slowly lower their walls and embrace vulnerability. Another reason why someone might ignore you despite their feelings is to test the relationship. This push and pull dynamic, while frustrating, is often an unconscious way of gauging your commitment and seeing how much you truly care. They might withdraw emotionally, becoming distant and unresponsive to see how you react. Do you pursue them, showering them with attention and affection? Or do you mirror their withdrawal, creating even greater distance between you? This emotional tug-of-war can be incredibly damaging to a relationship. It creates uncertainty, insecurity, and a constant fear of rejection. However, for someone who struggles with insecurity, it can feel like the only way to validate their worth in the relationship. Imagine someone who has been cheated on in the past. They may constantly test their current partner, pushing them away to see if they'll stray. It's a self-sabotaging behavior, driven by a deep-seated fear of being hurt again. Let's put these psychological insights into a real-world context. Imagine the bustling life of a city park where people of all ages and backgrounds converge. Amidst this crowd, we find stories of love, confusion, and unspoken emotions. Imagine a young woman named Sarah who's deeply in love with her boyfriend Mark. They share tender moments, holding hands in the park and sitting together on a bench, lost in each other's company. They've been dating for a year, and things seem to be going well, but lately Mark has been distant. Their once harmonious relationship now feels strained, with arguments becoming more frequent, and Mark often looking away, leaving Sarah concerned and confused. He's stopped calling as often, his texts are brief and impersonal, and he seems preoccupied when they're together. Sarah is devastated. She finds herself staring at her phone, hoping for a message that never comes, while Mark seems engrossed in his own world, oblivious to her pain. She racks her brain, trying to understand what she did wrong. Sitting at her desk, she replays their conversations, wondering if she said something to push him away. Her mind races with possibilities, each one more troubling than the last. Did she say something to push him away? Is there someone else? She confides in her friends, seeking advice and reassurance, but the answers elude her. At night she lies in bed, anxiety keeping her awake as she grapples with her fears. The silence is deafening, and the more distant Mark becomes, the more Sarah questions her worth. She sits alone in a cafe, her reflection in the mirror a constant reminder of her sadness. Walking alone in the park, she feels the weight of her loneliness. What Sarah doesn't realize is that Mark's behavior stems from his own insecurities. He sits at his desk, stressed and lost in thought, his troubled expression revealing the inner turmoil he hides from the world. He was raised in a household where vulnerability was seen as weakness, and he struggles to express his feelings. As a child, he witnessed tense family dinners and arguments, leaving him fearful and unable to open up. He loves Sarah deeply, but the intensity of his emotions scares him. He wants to show his love, perhaps with a gift or a tender hug, but his fear holds him back, creating a barrier between his intentions and actions. Unconsciously, Mark starts to withdraw, hoping to protect himself from the overwhelming fear of potential heartbreak. He walks alone on the beach, sits on the couch lost in worry, and stands by the window, contemplating his next move. He doesn't intend to hurt Sarah. In fact, he hates that he's causing her pain. He looks at her photo with regret, his guilt weighing heavily on him as he sits alone, head in hands, wishing he could find a way to bridge the gap. But his fear, coupled with his inability to communicate effectively, creates a seemingly insurmountable wall between them. They sit back to back in bed, the emotional distance palpable. He tries to talk, but she looks away, the silence growing louder. This scenario, while heartbreaking, highlights the complexities of human relationships. They look at each other across a table, emotions raw and unspoken. Conversations are filled with tension and they walk apart in the park, the distance between them growing. Often the people who care about us the most struggle to express their love in healthy, constructive ways. Parents hug their child, friends offer comfort, and couples share tender moments, but the underlying struggles remain. Their silence, while hurtful, is not always a reflection of their true feelings. Alone with their thoughts, they write in journals trying to make sense of their emotions. Even when holding hands, they look away, the silence speaking volumes.